What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the 2024 Audi RS3 alongside the 2024 Subaru WRX TR. Now in my opinion, I think the Subaru WRX TR might be the perfect baby version of the RS3. So this is $65,000. This is actually about $43,000. So if you're looking for a fun, performance-focused sedan and want something a bit more affordable, the WRX TR might be a pretty sweet option. Now, with all of this, I did a comparison with the RS3 against the BMW M3 Competition, which is over $90,000. In my opinion, the RS3 is the baby version of that car. And then I guess if we look at the other end of the spectrum, the Honda Civic Si would probably be the baby version of the WRX TR. Taking a look at the performance information on the Subaru WRX TR, you're going to find the 2.4-liter turbocharged Boxer 4-cylinder engine with 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. This car is a 6-speed manual transmission, Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Curb weight is around 3,400 pounds, and it can do 0 to 60 in about 5.9 seconds. Taking a look over at the Audi RS3, this has a 2.5-liter inline 5-cylinder turbocharged motor, cranking out 401 horsepower with 369 pound-feet of torque. It's only paired to the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission with Audi's all-wheel drive system. Curb weight is around 3,600 pounds, and it has been tested 0 to 60 closer to 3.3 seconds. The RS3 also features a 6-piston front brake caliper, along with a 14.8-inch rotor that is drilled, and then single piston rear calipers with a 12.2-inch rotor. And then the WRX TR will also get a 6-piston front brake caliper with a 13.4-inch drilled rotor, and then a 2-piston rear caliper with a 12.8-inch rotor. And then moving on to the interiors, in the Audi RS3 you are going to get Nappa leather for the seating with the nice contrast honeycomb stitching. You do have some Alcantara in the door panel, vinyl material for the padded armrest. There's going to be genuine carbon fiber on the dashboard, a little bit of a soft touch plastic across the dash and doors, and then a really nice leather steering wheel. You have a full digital screen in the center with all sorts of different bits of information. You have the full screen navigation and everything. And then of course, going into different drive modes, you can get some pretty cool information in here as well. In the center, you have all sorts of different drive modes, dynamic, RS performance, and then a pretty snappy touchscreen system that is really nice to work with. Of course, all of your different toggles. Climate controls integrated into the dashboard, which is really nice, having their own physical controls and screen. Wireless charging, storage down below, couplers, nice armrest that is also adjustable. It's pretty nice interior for sure. You can also see a sunroof up above, garage door buttons. And then hopping into the WRX TR, this interior again for over $20,000 less is still pretty nice. You have the ultra suede throughout these Recaro bucket seats, which do look really nice. Leather material throughout them. You're gonna see some of the suede and leather material throughout the door panel with stitching, and then you even get it on the dash. Kind of like the Audi, you just get some basic plastics up above. Still soft touch, so not really all too bad. Nice steering wheel as well. You got a 2-tone gauge cluster with analog as well as digital. You can scroll through a few different things in here. And then this is a pretty basic screen overall. There is some lag to this, not quite as nice as what you get in the Audi, which of course does make sense for the pricing. You have home screen, which we're there. Climate controls are all in the screen, which I'm not the biggest fan of. You do have physical temperature, however fan speed is in the screen. So that is one little drawback with the screen itself. You can tell this is a cheaper interior for sure. We have fake plastic carbon fiber, a little bit more use of synthetics. Storage down below, no wireless charging, storage in the center, and then the TR will not have a sunroof or garage door buttons. Now moving on to the back seat space in the Audi RS3, this is a compact sedan. At 5'11", I have about a half of inch of headroom, and with the driver's seat at my height, I have a couple inches of knee room and foot room. The seats are really comfortable, all Nappa leather back here. Bases are pretty padded. It is at a pretty good recline, good armrest. A little confined over here, feels a little tight. Nice armrest in the center with cup holders, storage. There are air vents, plugs, and storage behind the seats. So for a compact, honestly, it's really not all too bad. I can fit back here pretty comfortably. And moving on to the WRX TR, still with the driver's seat at my height, there is a little bit more legroom and knee room in here, and my head, I would say I have just about the same headroom. These seats are just as padded, they feel nice, and you're gonna see the same ultra suede with the leather material throughout them, like on these Recaro front seats. Good armrest, a little bit less confined on this left side, no climate vents back here, you just get 2 plugs and then a little bit of storage. You do have an armrest and storage in the center as well. So I'd say the back seats are kind of comparable, a little bit more space in the Subaru. but climate vents in the other one definitely go a long way. Moving on to the trunk storage space, pretty decent size in the Audi RS3, as you can tell, nice and squared off. You can independently fold down all 3 of the back seats as well. You have some storage underneath the floor. Moving on to the WRX TR, a little bit more roomy in here, not by much. And then just like the Audi, you're gonna manually fold down the seats for more storage in 2 separate seats. Moving to exterior styling, which is going to be purely subjective. Both of these cars have definitely been met with some controversy. On the Subaru, you do get this cheap plastic all throughout it, around the fenders, the side skirt, front and rear bumper. I would like that to be body colored. Overall, it's a good looking car, especially at $43,000. The RS3, much more premium looking, I would say, especially with the gloss black painted aspects without any cheap plastic. So it certainly looks like a much more mature car comparing it to the Subaru, but again, their price points make sense. They are both, I think, really cool looking sedans. Really can't complain. The RS3 looks like a pretty cool sporty little Audi, and the Subaru looks like a fun rally car. Side profile of the RS3, definitely nice and aggressive with that wide body look, and the rear end is very clean with all LED lighting and just a pretty proper car. The WRX, I will say, a little on the cheap side, given more of this plastic, and then the rear bumper is just a big chunk of plastic. So again, I wish they classed this up just a little bit more cool looking, but I do like the RS3 better, but of course, price point makes a lot of sense. So setting off now in the Audi RS3 to get my bearings with what a $65,000 performance sedan is all about. So one thing big in this car, especially for the money, is the drive modes. This has a lot of fancy technology with the adaptive suspension, the steering, the engine tuning, the transmission tuning, the exhaust sound. So you get a lot more car for the money. Now when I compare this to the BMW M3 Competition, same thing, you hop in the more expensive car and it's like, wow, there's a lot of cool stuff and extra goodies in a more expensive car. So RS3, really comfortable, really refined in the comfort mode. I mean, this genuinely feels like a high-end Audi. I really, really enjoyed that aspect with this car. These seats are really comfortable, very supportive. We have an adjustable leg rest. While they aren't specifically like Recaro bucket seats, Audi Sport RS seats are really nice. They are a bucket seat. We have all the power controls, memory seating. So it's got a lot of the fancy things, very padded. Bolsters do a pretty good job. So comfort-wise, this thing is really, really nice. So going into the RS performance mode, this thing's fast. And again, when I compare this to the M3 Comp, this thing didn't feel nearly as fast when you hop into that car. So we'll probably see a similar thing going into the Subi. But in this car, I mean, you get lightning quick gear changes and you just have so much muscle to the turbo 5-cylinder. It is like a race-inspired engine. It is pretty cool. Turning circle isn't that tight. You know, with Quattro all-wheel drive, this is a more front-wheel drive biased car, but the steering isn't the tightest for slow speed things. Visibility, about the same in both cars. Man, the effortless acceleration. Man. The handling also really tight. The steering feels really good, actually. I've adjusted the alignment and a few little tweaks to make this car better. Man. It feels incredibly confident, super composed, and while it does weigh a little bit more, I mean, it feels light on its toes, especially when I compare it to the M3. You can definitely tell the lightness in this car, but it doesn't feel heavy. It feels really well balanced. In this mode, the steering is nice and tight, actually. I think the new alignment may have solved the issue that I was having with this car, but wow. Man, the response in this car, you get a lot. Like, truly, this is just a little race car. The acceleration is absolutely nuts. Let's see if we're completely warmed up yet. There we go. Now we can really pin it. Gosh. Oh my gosh, this thing's fast. Wow. Yeah, this has a lot going for it. The fancy technology, like the suspension, just makes this car into a little track weapon. Gosh. Alright, I think that's enough getting my bearings with the RS3 again. Gosh, I love this car. I'm liking this thing more and more. Yeah, it has a lot to offer. It's got the luxuries, it's got the refinements, and then it's got the true performance that definitely gives you a wow factor. So now into the WRX TR, let's get my bearings with some of the comfort aspects. So first and foremost, these Recaro seats are definitely a lot stiffer. They don't really have the same plushness when you hop into them. They're nice seats though, they're really cool buckets. The bolsters are pretty nice and aggressive. So they're gonna give you the grip you want for performance. They're just gonna sacrifice a little bit of that extra plushness. But again, $20-something thousand difference, you kind of expect that. Driving normal in this car, it's comfortable, honestly. It's smooth, it's pretty quiet, the suspension is quite nice. Now, you can get the WRX GT, which is going to be a little bit more fancy with a fancier suspension. The sunroof, that'll have an automatic, so technically that might be more on par with the baby RS3. However, I highly doubt a CVT in that car is nearly as fun as a dual clutch or a 6-speed manual. Haven't driven it, but I think the manual is definitely the fun way to go if you're looking for the fun and you can sacrifice some of those extra goodies. But with this car, it's not going to be nearly as fast. Of course, the GT might be a little bit quicker, but flooring it takes a little bit to get moving. I mean, that was still up to pretty quick speeds. The Brembo brakes, while this does have a nicer set in the rear with a 2-piston, they don't bite as hard as I was expecting. You know, when you see the big Brembos, you think they're gonna really rip your face off. The RS3's brakes are insane. These ones definitely could use a little bit more aggression. For being the TR, you know, the track-ready version, I would like a little bit more aggressive brakes. They work fine, of course, but I could definitely like a little bit more bite. Turning a circle in this is a lot tighter, so that is something pretty nice. If you're going to use this as your daily driver, of course, which both cars are probably anybody's dailies if they're buying them. This thing's definitely very maneuverable. You do have bigger glass in here, which is nice. Definitely not as fast. However, it's not slow. And you know, when I compare the RS3 to the M3, same thing. You hop in the M3 and my goodness, is it crazy fast. And it makes the RS3 not feel as fast. This thing, same sort of thing now at the lower price point. It's quick enough, it's fun to drive, but definitely not the same. However, with that said, it carries its weight really nice. It's easy to rev match the manual, and the handling is really nice. The track-tuned suspension is really confident, and there is enough power to carry the weight. You know, you're accelerating up to higher speeds pretty easily. The steering is nice and direct. Now, there's no drive modes or anything. It's just you drive the car. But everything is tuned really well to give you the fun factor. Like going around turns, I mean, I'm having a blast. It's confident. It feels really stable and planted. Everything feels really nice and direct. No true loose ends to it. So when you're driving this, you get the fun factor out of it. And when you take into consideration the price point, low $40,000 is a much more attainable car and a really good way to go if you're kind of new to the sports car, performance car world. This one's not really going to break the bank. It's also pretty easy to drive, very practical, which both cars are pretty much equally in practicality. But it does give you a lot of fun, and I'm having fun driving it. It's got all the sporty touches to make it feel like, you know, a fun little performance car. And you can still do that turn pretty quickly. I'm smiling, so that is a good thing. I feel like the WRX TR, it gives you a fun factor without going crazy on price point. Yeah, seems really well done. You can tell, of course, that it is a cheaper car, just like the RS3 felt like a cheaper car comparing it to the M3. But, you know, it all makes sense, and it's all relative to the price you're paying. It's fun going through gears, and one thing good about this car and a car at this level, you can have more honest fun. The RS3, you'll hit 90 to 100 pretty quickly. This car, not so much, so you can kind of rip on this more, and you're not really breaking speed limits. Like, only now am I getting close to the speed limit. So you can have a lot of good honest fun with this and smile the whole way. Alright, so ending thoughts after driving in the Subaru WRX TR alongside the RS3. If you're looking for that more affordable version, I think you get quite a lot of fun factor. Now, one thing I have noticed, there's actually quite a few people I know who came from the older WRX STIs and ended up going into an RS3 later on. So it does seem like a pretty natural progression coming from the WRXs into the RS3s. Now, I do wish there was an STI version because I crave just a little bit more power in the stock form out of this standard WRX. Unfortunately, you don't get that these days. But when you're driving these back to back, you can see a lot of the fun factor that TR offers, which is nice to see. It's still practical, usable, but coming in over 20 grand less is a pretty nice chunk of change. So I think that is definitely the baby version of the RS3. I don't think there's really another sedan at this price point that is going to give you a good fun factor like the RS3. So comment below, what do you guys think? Is the WRX TR the baby version of the RS3? And in that, do you think the Civic Si would be the baby version of this? And I still think the M3 is then the big boy version of the 4 of those cars. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.